Hello techies, I'm Divya here. On behalf of CyberBrainer, don't you think the world of tech is evolving faster than ever? Now is the perfect time to dive in and build the skills that will take you places. With CyberBrainer, we are putting you in the driver's seat of your own future. We at CyberBrainer don't just teach your interest. We believe that knowledge is power, but it's applied knowledge that truly sets you apart. Whether you're diving into data science, mastering artificial intelligence, or exploring the world of cybersecurity, our courses are designed to give you the skills that matter. So let's jump into the session and make the future yours today. Thank you.
We will go through the steps of creating the Inbound EIB, and we will see how we can load data and transaction using that particular EIB. First of all, we are going to take a look at the hire employee EIB. There are simpler EIBs, but let's take this one as an example. First of all, we have to prepare the system before we are going to load any transactional data. Isn't it? First things first. First, we have to create the supervisory organization. We have to prepare it for hiring, creating job profiles. We have to create the hiring restrictions correct. But those things have to be done anyway. Our supervisory organization got refreshed with the technology. And refresh. Let's create a supervisory organization first. Create supervisory organization. This is the task. It asks you for the reorganization. Let's create a reorganization from here itself. What should we call it? A BBO or WeWork? That's what we called ourselves. What was the reorganization date, if you remember? Sometime in February, end of February. It was in March. It was in March, first week of March. Let's say the 3rd of March. 3rd of March is fine. We are going to use that, and let's go for Biox Easy Motors. We are going to include the manager or the leader as part of the name. Subtype is department and visibility is everyone. Primary location. I hope we have something. Let's choose Chicago. Already we have 2 Chicagos. Let me use this one. The reason I am choosing this one, you see, because I took the related actions and it has been used in 9 different organizations. Most likely this is the one. I choose it. Staffing model, let me choose as job management. And in the roles hierarchy, owner and owner are assigned to Logan McNeil. We are fine with that. Click to save this file. Good. Now we will create one more. Subordinate. We are going to reorganization, create subordinate. Let me choose the effective date as the same one as the parent, and let's call it as UU. Xis voters, executive organization. Subtype is department and include manager leader as part. Of the name submit. We have created 2 supervisory organizations. I could have created a few more, but I'm just creating these 2 for the time being. Before we actually go into the hiring process, we have to do a few more things. What is it that we have to do? To prepare an organization for hiring, we have to set the hiring restrictions. We go here, we go to the organization. It's the job management organization. We have to set the hiring restrictions. But before we do that, I want to create a copy of our business process definitions for this particular object, that it is a simplified business process. We go to the related actions. We go to business process, create copy or link definition. First of all, I want to simplify the hire business process. And then I just leave step A. And click then I would also create the business process definition for the Business process, create copy or link definition. I will also create a copy for the hiring. Restrictions, the hiring restrictions business process, because I want it to be very simplified, and then our main focus will be on doing the EIB. I'm just creating this as simplistic as possible, and then we will also go on to create copy or link definition. Let's also create the proposed compensation higher, although we are not going to do it now. Proposed compensation higher. Oh. What else? We have created the simplified versions of the business process. Definitions. Now we have to set the hiring restrictions, isn't it? We go to organization. We set hiring restrictions. All availability date is, let's say, the 1st of April. Earliest hire date is 1st of April. No job restrictions, submit. Done. It's done. We are ready for hire for this organization, XYZ Motors. And now we are going to the XYZ Motors executive. There also I'm going to set the hiring restrictions. We go to business process. Oh, sorry, organization set hiring. Restrictions 1st of April is fine. Here also 1st of April and no job restrictions. Great, we are done. We have set the hiring restrictions in our supervisory organizations. What else do we need to do before we actually start hiring? Let's say I want to hire in XYZ Motors. Even if I do a manual hire, what do I have to do to create the job profile? I have to create the job profile because job profile is mandatory. Let's try doing it. Let's try doing something. Let's try to go to hire and hire employee. The moment I do that, it says create a pre-hire. I must also have some pre-hires. I must have some pre-hires that I'm going to load using the system. If you do not want to do that, there is a way to create your applicants also using the web service. But let's keep it simple. Let's create the pre-hires upfront. Create pre-hire is the task, and let's create 2 pre-hires. We will call them as WO. What can be the name? Let's call it as Come on John Williams. Or maybe since we are doing XYZ models, let's use our typical Daniel Sloan. Daniel Sloan. Let's give a contact information for Daniel Umozavan. We have to note down what we are creating. You see, we have created our pre-hire. You see there is a pre-hire ID next to this pre-hire. Whenever we are doing integrations and we are loading data using any integration, EIB being one of them, we are not going to give the names of the objects that we are going to use. We are going to work with our reference IDs or integration ID. For this pre-hire, how to find out the integration ID? It's here, but I will show you the correct way of doing it. You go to the related actions of the object. It can be any object. You go to the related actions of that object and you go to the integration aids, and there is an option called view. It's click on that, it will show you what is the type of aid, what is the applicant, what is the it type, and what is the value. Let's start taking notes. Let's start taking notes here. First thing is we have created some supervisory organizations. One is XYZ Motor. We need to know its reference ID. And then there's XYZ Motors Executive. I need to know that reference ID as I have used some locations. location that this is Chicago. I need to know the reference it for that. And then what else did? I created a pre-hire. The first pre-hire is old and Daniel Sloan. I need to know. It's referenced. What is the referenced? The id type is applicant id. Let me just go here, the applicant id. And what is the value? We have to note down the value. As the value is as a 200, we are done. Now let's also note down the reference id. Let's create one more pre-hire and then we will go back and take the reference IDs for other things. We have, go ahead, Chris, that and that Workday ID. Why do we use that for? Do we use that for integration or? We typically try to avoid this because this might change from one tenant to another. We try to avoid this, but this is something that to uniquely identify this object. In this particular tenant, that's true. It's Workday ID, meaning you are referring to this one. 32 characters, because yes, we saw that yesterday. We try to avoid this. Try to avoid using this. We may use it, but we try to avoid using this. But it also uniquely identifies your particular object. You will see when we fill up. That Excel spreadsheet for our app, we have both options. You have the option to use this Workday id or you can use this reference id. You can use either, but we do not recommend using this. This applicant id later on when this pre-hire we hire. When we hire this, the applicant ID. Does that convert? It will use that it will, but we know already that the application of the pre-hire and the employee are two different objects. The applicant will continue. The pre-hire will continue to remain in the system as a pre-hire object. Then when we convert, when we hire the worker, Daniels Luhan will be an employee. As correct. But there will be two different objects with two different reference ids, but they will be linked together. This pre-hire will be linked to that employee object. But there will be two different objects. Let's now create another one of our favorites, Martin Walters, correct. Then we go to email. We create him Walters at Tescom. We are just preparing the system for this hire. Martin is at 2001. Go Martin Walters. This is an applicant id. It's the applicant id. Let me just store it that as. What else do we need? We need job profiles. But before that, let's get the reference IDs for this Chicago location. Because we are going to hire the worker in Chicago location. And then we also need the reference IDs for XYZ Motors and Executive. Let's go back to our XYZ Motors supervisory organization. And you see the reference ID. Is this one the organization ID? But still, we will go and take it the following the correct way. We go to the related actions. Integration, its view, its you see, the organization, its type is different. It is not an applicant id. It is an organization reference id. And what is the ID value? This is the organization reference ID and the value for that is supervisory. Organization 64060. This is what they generated. We are going to use that. Similarly here also, we are going to have an organization reference ID. We are not going to use the names. We are not going to use the names because that name doesn't make sense. When we are doing it using the Excel spreadsheet, it doesn't know what the Excel spreadsheet or the integration cannot search using the name. We have to use the reference ID. Here also it has been created. It is in the same sequence. Supervisor Organization 64261. Now we will have the Chicago location. Now you might be wondering that why we are doing this individually, one by one, and how long will this take if we have a lot of organizations or different components for that you are going to use your reports. In your report, you are going to create dumps. You're going to create a lot of big Excel spreadsheet dumps where you have the location id or where you have the reference id exported for all locations. You can have a report which says the Chicago as one column and you have the reference id type as the second column and the third column can be the reference id. You have an Excel spreadsheet. In that spreadsheet, you have a list of all the locations and their reference ids, and then when you are doing your Excel spreadsheet, you're going to, all you need to do is VLOOP. You can just do a VLOOP and you get all the necessary reference IDs that you want. This time we are doing it manually. That's why we are doing it one by one. Otherwise, this is typically done using Excel spreadsheets and VLOOPs. Then we need to create job profiles. We need to create 2 job profiles. One for one to hire Daniel Slavin as the CEO, and one would be the Vice President of Sales, that is Martin Walters. Let's quickly create that. Create job profile. All effective date, let's give it as the first click. And let's give it a name. Wilbur, Chief Executive Officer. And what is the management level? Management level is the Chief Executive Officer. And anything else do we need to do? We're not doing compensation now. We just keep it simple. Now we need the reference ID for this as we go to the related actions. Integration IDs, view IDs. This is a job profile ID which is 240. Job Prol CEO profile ID. Fire this. And let's create one more. Create job profile. What was the effective date that I used 1st of April? Let's use that. Vice President. Vice President of. I think he was Vice President of Sales. Management level is Vice President. Now let's create our reference id for this one as 241. It should be 250. All great, I know. It's a bit boring. Just keep your patience for some more time. Id. Job management type, it not required. Management type. Management type or management level, it is required. I filled it up. Oh, is it not? Mandatory, it is not mandatory. If management level is not mandatory, we use it for a lot of our configurations and rules and eligibility criteria, etc. That's why it is important to get it filled. Yes, but typically to create a job profile the management level is not mandatory. No, my question is the job management level, the ID which we are taking for all of the reference ID, the reference ID. Not required to take that. Not required to take what? For management level. No, I'm taking the one for the job profile. You are going to hire a worker for the job profile. The management level is part of the job profile. It will be picked from there. We don't need to take the reference ID of the management level, not necessary, because we are doing it from the job level. All now we are more or less set. We will take the reference IDs of other objects if we need them. But now let's see. Go and create our EIB. What's the task? To create an EIB. Creepy. Creepy. And we are going to do what? We are going to write an integration. We will put our naming convention. We will say EIB. Oh. And we will say hire employee. And what is the direction? Inbound. It will be inbound because we are loading data into the system. We will select the direction as inbound click hook. Now remember that when we are doing an inbound EIB, we have to use web services. We will use web services to load the data into EIB, into Workday. For outbound, we have two options. It can be a custom report or it can be an EIB. But when we are loading data into Workday, it has to be an EIB. Now here also, you see the get data transform and deliver sections. It looks a bit different than what we saw yesterday or day before. For the outbound EIB, it doesn't have to do anything with the direction of the EIB. Let me tell you. This is the new look of the EIBs that came out as part of 22 and R2. It allows the customers to choose whether they want to use the new look or they want to continue with the older look. In the other tenant that we were working on yesterday, they were using the older look. But now this is the latest and the greatest view that we have of the EIB. It looks a bit cleaner, much better to look at. You click on next, but essentially it's the same thing. Essentially the menu options exactly are the same, but just that it looks a bit different. Or the retrieval method. How are we going to get the file? You can attach it at the launch. Remember the Workday attachment that we had for an outbound EIB. Similarly, here you have the option to attach the file at the launch. You have some other options. You can get it from Google Drive, from an SFTP server. You can also get it from an Amazon Simple Storage service. Or you can get it from an FTP or FTPS location as. But we are going to attach the file at the time of launch. Now, what is the template going to be? Is it a web service template or is it something else? But we will use a web service spreadsheet template. The operation, if I look at this for each of these public web services operations, you might choose one of that. For example, for human resources, you will see add academic appointment, assign members to an organization, change licenses, change other IDs, etc. For each of those, we have a web service. Now remember, for each of these web services, these are all put type of operations. We are going to upload data. Can we get a get workers here? A get worker. No, we will not get. It will not come as a possible. Option at all, because a get worker is to be used for an outbound EIB, because we are going to get the information from Workday and send it to an external system. But this is going to be an inbound one, all of the web services that will be available to you for an inbound EIB. We are put out of the put type, where we are going to update the Workday system with some data. The name may have put, it may not have put. That is fine, but they are going to be of the category of put. We are going to do a hire. For hire, it is hire employee web service. Hire employee web service. There is another one which is import hire employee. This is for high volume transactions, very high volume. If you want to load 300,000 employees, you will not go for the hire employee web service. You will go for the import hire employee web service. There is a Difference between the normal web service and the import web services. The import web services allow parallel processing. That is why it is designed for high volume transactions. The normal hire employee will not allow for parallel processing. It will do one at a time. This is done. Now click on Next. Now the next section will be Transform in our Outbound EIB. We had said that the transform is optional. But here you see the transformation type is automatically chosen as the template model. And the template model has been chosen from the web service operation. It has already been chosen from the web service operation and it is hire employee. We can't change it. We won't change it. We will just click on Next. And then the deliver. Here a deliver is also chosen for us because the delivery is to be done to Workday. And since we chose a web service operation, that is the delivery option. We are going to use the delivery method, which is a Workday web service operation. By default, it's chosen and the web service is hire employee web service. Let's move on. Let's review and let's submit it. Creating the EIB is pretty simple and straightforward. It says that the file type that you are going to use is a web service spreadsheet template. That is where most of the interesting work will need to be done. I'll click on to save this. This is an inbound EIB. It has the get data, transform and deliver sections. That is why we know it is an inbound. And the moment you see that the transform is a web service template and the deliver is a web service operation, this is an inbound EIB. Now we have created the EIB. Now, where do we find the Excel spreadsheet that it's talking about? Web service with spreadsheet template. We have to go to the related actions. You have the option for template model and you can generate the spreadsheet template. Generate the spreadsheet template. The default format is SLX. You also have the XML option. But remember that even if you choose XML option, you will be able to open it using Microsoft Excel. This was the older version, but you are still able to open it using Microsoft Excel. Select the Excelfx format when generating a spreadsheet in Google Drive. Workday recommends using XLX spreadsheet format files over XM. That's what we will listen to the recommendation and we will confirm that yes, this is what we want. Click on Submit. It will create a background process and it is trying to generate the Excel spreadsheet model for us. It is going to generate a blank Excel spreadsheet model. Now what happens is in the background, there is a web service operation. A web service operation has many different fields. Many different options that we need to fill out, especially if it's a big and complicated web service. The hire employee web service. This will have many different sections, many different processes, but the basic. The key to do it is to enter all the relevant information. In the sections that are important, we go into the hire employee. Let's go to the folder. Let's create a copy of this. Here is the hire employee web service. Let's create a copy and let's call it as template. Let's open up this particular Excel spreadsheet and see how it looks. Now we have to enter the data as per this particular format in Excel. This is a simplified version for accessing the web service. If you are not familiar with the web service, this is the spreadsheet that you can use to enter data for the web services. Otherwise, we will use a different method. We can use directly web services and enter the data. Here you see that this web service operation is designed to hire an existing applicant into an employee position or job using the hire employee business process. This is what it is designed to do. There are several sub-processes that are available in the hire business process. Remember, we have the propose compensation hire, create Workday account, edit Workday account. Those are the many different actions that you can perform on those business processes. What we are going to do here is we are going to give a processing instruction for our web service operation. The processing instruction is manual processing, automatic processing. Processing run now and run now with automatic processing. The option that we will choose is run. Now, this is actually going to be automatically complete. Now, what are the other options? Manual processing is it will start the business process, but if there are manual steps, maybe propose compensation hire, create Workday account, edit Workday account, it will go to the individual role assignee for those tasks one by one, just a manual Workday process. If you want that, if you want to go through all the manual approvals and on, you can go through this particular process. The other option is automatic processing. If you are clicking on automatic processing, then that means it will bypass all the approvals. All those approvals will be automatically completed. Automatically completed. It will not wait. It will not stop for somebody to do those tasks manually. It will not stop at that. There is a reason for this. Let's say you are loading 500 workers using this spreadsheet. You're loading 500 workers. If you have to go for manual approval for each of those steps, then what happens? You are not. Are you reducing the task, or you are just increasing it? Isn't it? Just increasing the work for everybody. You are going through the manual process where somebody has to go in and approve it 500 different times. For bulk data loads using EIBs, we do an automatic processing. We do not go through the individual approval process for each and everything. If you want, you can go for manual processing. You select on manual processing, then it will go to each and every person for their approval. The run now and run now with automatic processing are here for backward compatibility. We no longer use run now and run now with automatic processing. We do not use it anymore. These are the new options: manual processing and automatic processing. We are going to do this. For the other ones, we are going to use Krish for the automatic. The processing, when does this? Approval step. It will not happen. No, it will not happen at all. No longer needed, it will be skipped. The process will complete. Employee will be hired with all the information, but we will not need the approvals. The approvals are taken prior to the hiring process. Maybe yes, but during the hire process in Workday, nobody has to do the approval if there is, let's say, consolidated approval. Approval by manager, it says that doesn't have to be done if it is an autumn. If you select automatic processing to load the data, if you are concerned about that, then how do does this work? If you can choose manual processing, that is absolutely fine. If you do that, then it will follow all the human actions. It will go through for each and every approval. Some organizations want to do it, they don't want to skip the approvals. You can do this as not an issue. Then it will just start the process. It will trigger 500 processes or maybe 400 processes or how many you are doing, and then it will flow through the approval process, proposed compensation, everything. It will flow through the normal process. Depends what is it that you want. Typically, When we do bulk loads, we use automatic processing because that is the whole purpose of using the EIB, to load the data to have bulk load. Now proposed compensation hire, these are sub-processes. We will say skip processing when the step is marked optional. Anyway, we are not doing it. I will mark all these other processes as optional. Skip processing when the step is marked optional. In this particular example, we are not going to do it. Discard on exit validation error. If there is any validation error, you can exit the process. You can discard. You can choose a yes, you want to discard, or you can choose no, try continuing and do it. You can also enter processing comment. You can enter a comment for the hired free-form comment regarding the business process. You can say hired using an EIB spreadsheet. For each of the workers who are going to be hired, we will have a comment hired using an EIB spreadsheet. This is a standard comment that you can use for all the works. Now comes individual web service operations. The first one is the hire employee. This is where we are actually going to enter the information. Now I want you to pay attention to how we are doing it. First one is the spreadsheet key. The first value is the spreadsheet key. Now in the spreadsheet key, you can enter 134 fig 6 and on, but the spreadsheet key has to be unique within this particular spreadsheet. And the spreadsheet key is the linkage if you are going to enter additional information regarding that particular hire in some other websites, in some other spreadsheets. For example, if you're going to do compensation as you're going to assign compensation, the spreadsheet key for this employee here should match the spreadsheet key for the employee here. They have to be in sync. That is why the best practice that we follow. Why don't you use the applicant ID as the spreadsheet key? Because that will be unique. That will be unique. Correct? And then if I do propose compensation hire, I will do the same value here as my spreadsheet. That I know for which worker I'm going to do the compensation. Now the applicant you see. What is the ID type? Applicant underscore ID tree. It knows what value is expected. Did we store it? Applicant underscore ID. This is the value. Let's enter that. As applicant ID, is there any other ID type that you can use? Use the drop down. You have the VD. Or the Workday aid as if you had chosen the Workday aid. Then for all the columns in this particular row, all the rows in this particular column, you can use the VAID because you are using the VAID to uniquely identify the applicant we are not doing. A formal worker. It's not a student, not an academic affiliate. We are not entering any applicant data. If you are not entering a certain section, you can hide that. But do not delete anything. Do not delete any fields from this spreadsheet template. If you are not using it, hide it. Now you see, for each of the sections, it is grouped together. Different fields are merged and they are color-coded. This applicant data is one. This personal date is one. This name detail data is all color-coded into one. For the next few fields, it is all about the applicant. We can safely hide all this applicant data. We are not going to enter data about the applicant using this particular spreadsheet. We will go very far. We are going to something called as the organization. Let's go to the field that is organization. It is somewhere here, organization aid. It's still custom made data. Let me go further. Hire employee event data. Here I think we have to start entering. Organization reference ID. From here off before that, we can hide all this data. We can hide all the other fields. We don't need them. Anyway, from off onwards, we are going to edit the data. The others we can safely hide. We don't need them. Lot of fields where we can. We have to enter the applicant information. We are not entering the applicant information. I will just simply hide them, that it is easy for us to enter the information and we are not confused. Just bear with me for a moment. This is a one-time process. We do it only once. And then, once we are done, we hand it over to our business process users. And they will continue to use this. Even for former worker, student academic affiliate, we are not going to use it. Let me hide this once as organization. Where are we hiring Daniel Sloan? We are going to hire Daniel Sloan in this particular supervisory organization. Here also we have to give the reference ID. What is the type of the reference ID? Organization reference ID. We have it. We have that information with us. Supervisory organization takes 4 is 60. Correct. We have that. Then what is the hire date? Are we hiring in a position? We are not hiring in a position. We are not hiring in a job rec. We are hiring with a hire date. What is the hire date? Let us say 26. This is the hire date. This is the hire date that we are going to use. It has to be in this format, VMMDD. Then we can put the hire reason if you want. Then we have to put the employee type regular. Correct? Employee type is regular. What else do we need to fill? We need to fill the job profile, correct? Let's see where is the job profile. First day of work, this continuous service time of hire. Continuous service with probation start, probation end, employment end. We don't need all this information. We can hide them. Company service. Conversion position. No, we have this position for job profile. We have it. We have the job profile information 240. Correct. Let's do it. Job profile is 240. If you want to give a position title, we can give it as, then we have the option for the location we are hiring. The worker in our Chicago location. We are going to give the location for Chicago. We have all this information. Thankfully, we did it. Now we can just keep putting this one by one. Position, time type. The position time type will be full_time. Did I do it correctly? Here I have to enter full_type. Again, this is a reference ID. This is a position time type. We have to find out what is the position time type. Let me show you how to do that. In the Workday system, you have an option where you can search for integration IDs. Let's say hire reason or maybe the position time type. Let's look at. Position time type is a type of field we can look at. And we can find out what are the references. You see part_time, full_time. This is something that we have to enter. Full_time refers to full time. Part_time refers to the part time for position time. If you want to look at hire, Reason, the higher reason is not a different object. You cannot find higher reason here. What it is, it's a general event subcat. General event subcategory. Make a note of it. General event subcategory. Here you have the higher reason. Here you have the different reasons. All this education can be downloaded, Excel or a spreadsheet, because you will need to use it for lookups. When you populate that spreadsheet, you will definitely need to use it, correct? It is recommended that you download it and keep it in one place because you would have to refer to it many times. Click on that Excel. Spreadsheet export to Excel. That's it. You want to download the entire thing, all the reference IDs? No, that is not allowed. That is not possible. You download only the ones you need. Oh, default hours for this location is 40. Scheduled hours that this worker is going to work is also 40. Anything else do we need to do? I think no, we are more or less done. Let's hide the other columns as we don't need to do a job classification or something. We are hiding this, and let's hide all the other fields as our spreadsheet is very simple, straightforward. Let me hide these two things as let's try to find out a good hire reason. Contract contingent worker new position. Let's find out about the hirer. Edit headcount. It should be somewhere down the table. Pro. HIJK element of P. Maybe it's this page, page 3. New position. New position. Hire employee, new hire, new position. You see, this is the ID for the hire reason. Hire employee, new hire, new position. This is the one we have been using very often. Hire employee, new position is the reason. This is the reference ID for that. Let's copy it. And the hire reason new. See, the category is general even subcategory ID. That is also a pointer. About what? How to find the reference ID general even subcategory ID. This is the one. All we have filled up more or less all the fields that we need. Let's do it for the other worker as what is it? This is the reference ID for the applicant for the spreadsheet. This is their applicant ID. What is the supervisory organization? XY Motors Executive. You see these in the same spreadsheet. I'm hiring workers. I'm trying to hire at least workers in 2 different organizations. Let me use a different hire date. Let me use as the hire date. And same hire reason. Not an issue. Job profile. What is the job profile? I think it was 250. Correct. 250 is the job profile done. I will hire in the same location, Chicago. It's full time. Rest, everything is the same. We have filled up our Excel spreadsheet. Save it, save it. Now comes the interesting options. We will go to our EIB now. We will attempt to load the data using the EIB integration in this. In season, we are going to have what is it? EIB. Inbound int EIB hire employee inbound. All this is our EIB. Let's launch the EIB. Integration launch. Run now. Now comes the interesting part. Now we have to attach the file, we said. Attach the file at launch. Here you have to attach it as an integration attachment. You go to the drop down here and you have the option to create integration attachment. You do that and you select your file. Where is the file? I think I put it in downloads. It modified here, hire employee template. This is the one we did open. Correct. Now this has been added again. Remember what they will not validate this particular. Excel spreadsheet at the time of attachment. It doesn't care if it has wrong data or it is correct. Data. It will not validate the contents when you are attaching it. It will only validate the contents at the time of running or executing the integration. Since this is the first time we are attaching that spreadsheet, please make sure that you run this as a validate only. Every time you upload a new spreadsheet, please use this option, validate only load. Please validate your spreadsheet because you do not know what you may have done. There may be mistakes, there may be errors, typos, wrong values, incorrect or inconsistent values. If you are doing for a big spreadsheet, 500, 600 entries, it is easy to make mistakes. Always run this as a validate. Only load first once the file is validated. Successfully, then load the data using the uncheck this option. Add errors to attachment. This is another option that we will select if there are errors. If there are any errors while processing that particular record, Workday will add the errors to that particular line itself that you do not have to search. Which record failed? What happened? What do I do now? You do not have to go around searching where it failed. You can straight away find it within that record itself, that this is the record that has failed, and it will give you the validation error as when you are doing this launch. It always makes sense that for the first time you are doing it. Validate only and add errors to the attachment. That's it, done. Click to launch the EIB. It is running, but it is running in validation only. Mode of validation only. Mode you say it, validate only is equal to yes. You are running it in validation only mode, it's processing. It completed. It completed means I think there are no errors. Let's look at this, the execution summary. If you scroll down, you will find the execution summary. It says total records is 2. Is it total records is 2? 2 records, that is 2 records. That's what it read. It said 2 records. Total records processed is 2. Total failed records is 0. It is complete success. Validation only mode, all records loaded successfully. Although it says all records loaded successfully, we cannot go into Workday and try to look for these workers because it was just a validation only mode. Now, we will just go to the integration event related actions of that event. And then we go to integration event. You have the option to relaunch the integration event. Relaunch this integration event with the same parameters. That means the same file. Because our file was correct, I don't need to attach it again. It is going to launch with the same file. Only thing we need to change is what? Now we are doing the actual load. We are going to actually load the data into the system. We are going to hire employees. Well, We are not validating now. We have done the validation. We will still want to have the add errors. To attachment, maybe the validation missed something. If there are some errors, we will still want to have it in the attachment. Validate only. The validation mode is pretty accurate, I would say. 99% of the times it will identify the errors properly, but there are still chances that there are some errors which the validation did not catch. That's why it makes sense to have the validation on even sorry, add errors to it. The add errors to attachment option is on even when you are doing the final load. All it's processing now. Let's see. Let's go to the execution. It's still processing. It's reading the file. It's validating the data. Nothing in the summary yet. Refresh. All it took 19 seconds. It completed. And it says total records 2. Total records processed is 2. All records loaded successfully. And then if you go to the messages, it looks no errors. Everything is info. Only then you see business processes loaded. Hire Daniel Sloan, hire Martin Walters. Now this is nice in our Excel spreadsheet. Did we specify Daniel Sloan or Martin Walters anywhere? No, but it still identified the correctly. Based on the applicant id. Based on the it's correct. Based on the it's. If you want to look at this process, let's look at this process. For Daniel Sloan, let's try to find out what all information it had. We will look at each of these things. You see the hire date is 23. 6th of April 2022. Is that correct? That's correct. That's the date we wanted. And it says the reason is new hire, new position, which is correct. Worker type, employee type is regular. Is that correct? Yes, the job profile is 240. The job profile is Chief Executive Officer, which is 240. That is correct. Time type is full-time. Where did we give it full-time here? Position time type it is full-time. Location is Chicago, and you see it's a clickable link. That means it's a real location. That's what we gave Chicago _ site. And then if I expand it location, weekly hours is 40. Default weekly hours is 40. Scheduled weekly hours is 40. It is a 100% FTE. Correct? That's what we did. Default hours and scheduled hours 40-40. That's what we had entered. That is what it has come here as the management level. Has been picked up from the job profile. Mohan, to answer your question, the management level is picked up from the job profile. Correct? That is what it is. Now, if I go to XYZ Motors, here is Daniel Sloan. Hired what about? Exit. What happened to this one? In executive, we do not see the worker. It went to this one. Martin Walters, effective date of 27th of April. Some problem with the effective dating. It will be effective tomorrow. If I want to change this, I can correct it. Of course, I can go to business process. I can correct. But you see, the date is correct. It is 27th of April. I can change the hire date and make it today. It is today actually, but I don't know. Maybe something wrong with the time. I have to enter a comment. Corrected the hire date. Let's say submit. and it has been corrected. Now if I look at the members, here is much of all I needed to do was correct the hire date. I mean, if I could have left it as 27, in that way it would have showed up in the department in the particular organization. With tomorrow's effect, I mean tomorrow, it would have showed up tomorrow. But I corrected that. I just wanted to see it as part of the organization today itself. That is why I changed it. Now if you want to hire 16 more people for 100 more people, all you need to do is follow this template, fill up more records. Enter the supervisory organization need, the hire date, the new, the hire reason, and you have the template. We know that this works. Correct. Just keep on entering for 100, 200, 500, 5,000 more employees, not an issue. But again, if you add another thing, remove the workers who have already been hired. Use them as reference, for sure. But then, once you add the other rows, remove these two rows because otherwise it will throw an error saying that it's a duplicate record. Put in those values. And then you are ready to hire more and more and more people. You see how easily we can now hire these workers. Using this Excel spreadsheet template, our template is ready. Now if I want to hire 500 workers, how much time will it take to prepare the spreadsheet? Maybe 1 to 2 hours. Maybe because you have to look up. You have to ensure the data is correct and known. But once you start the hire, it will take a matter of. It will be completed in a matter of minutes. 5 to 10 minutes and all the 500 workers will be loaded in the system. That's how efficient the process is. But I understand preparing the data load. Getting all the correct information in the places is going to be a bit challenging. It's going to take a while. I've shared this particular Excel spreadsheet template in your shared drive. You have a copy of it already. But sometimes what happens? Workday goes through upgrades. There are new changes coming. In new fields that are added, create the EIB one more time. Generate the spreadsheet template. And just use the values from the sample spreadsheet template that I have copied over the values and put it in the respective columns. The column names may have been slightly different or the column positioning may be a bit different, but that's all. That's the only thing that would change. Otherwise, everything else would remain exactly the same, all typically the first. Load will be done by your integration consultants. They will create this file and they'll give it to you. If you are working as a functional consultant, and then all you have to do is fill up those Excel spreadsheets and load using that particular EIB template. You launch the EIB, you attach the file at launch, and then you use validate only. Remember this for every time you load a file, first run validate only. Then do the actual load. Now there will be, I would say, a best practice to follow or to load data using EIB. First of all, if you are creating an EIB from scratch, of course there will be a lot of trial and error. You have to find out the exact fields that you want. You will. I did it easily because I've done it many times in the past. That's why I was quick to do it. But if you're doing it for a new operation, it might take a while. The first option, the steps that you should follow, is do it manually once. Steps to load bulk data using EIB. If I want to write some steps, the first step is do the entire process manually. Take notes, identify the data that you need to select. as dropped outs. Maybe the location, maybe the supervisory organization, the job profile, whatever you are choosing as a drop down. Make a note of those fields because those are the fields for which you would need the integration ID, isn't it? You have to make a note identifying the data that you are needing to select. If you're doing compensation, you need the reference ID of the compensation package, compensation grade, allowance plan, salary plan. You would need to know the reference IDs of those as you have to select or you have to identify the data that you need to select. Do it for one instance. Do it manually. Then fill up the Excel spreadsheet. I'm assuming you have already created the EIB and on. Fill up the Excel spreadsheet and use it to load 2 instances if you're doing a hire. Employee, load 2 workers, that's all, and see if your process is working. Fill up the Excel spreadsheet and test the template model. That's all you need to do. Just hire for 2 or load the data for 2 instances. After you are done with those 2 instances, then populate the template with the rest of the records. Do a validation run. Load the data. This is what should be your high-level steps. First, do a manual run. Identify the process. Look at the steps that you have to do. Look at the data that you have to enter. Once you are with that, only then you should fill up the Excel spreadsheet. Because otherwise you will spend a lot of time trying to identify which fields to populate and you will go back and forth a lot many times. But if you do the process once manually, exactly what needs to be done, then fill up this spreadsheet with all the information that you load 2 instances, of course. First validate, then load. Get the 2 instances to load properly. Verify each and every field. If you are not sure, ask a business analyst to verify. They are good at it. They will look at the records. They will check. They will pick holes in your work. They will say this is not there, that is not there. I want this to show up correctly. I want that to be present. They will tell you a lot of points that you need to incorporate. Then go back, update that to 2 more instances. Load 2 more instances of data. If that goes correctly, then only go and do for the rest of the records. Do not try to save time by loading 500 records in the first run. You will end up spending more time. But even after that, even after all of these things, people will still make mistakes. Their mistakes will still happen. Workday has come up with a new task, that is mass resync. Mass resend business processes. You have the option to mass resend data loaded by EIBs. You can resend all business processes, or you can resend the data loaded by certain EIBs. Let's choose the ones that we have done. Let's say EIB, let's see. Oh, here it is. Hire employee. This is the one that we did, isn't it? This is the hire employee that we did. You click on. It will ask that. These are the 2 processes that were loaded. Daniel Sloan and Martin Walters. You want to roll it back. You want to resend. If you click on to all, you can click and it will resend both of them. or any instances. If you have made a mistake, if you have loaded the wrong data, you can resign this. But remember, this is only the last option. The only escape route that is available. You have other than correcting everything manually one by one. You have this fallback option. If you load some wrong data, maybe one particular field had wrong information, the entire data needs to be backed out. You have the option to do that. And then you correct the data, load it one more time. Got interesting? I have one more. Go ahead. I have updated all the data correctly, but I have missed some data to update. It's not the wrong data. That will be a correct. You have to do it one more time. You have to load the data. You have to do a change. Depends on what data you want to add. Let's say we have already done this load. We did not use proposed compensation. Hire, we did not load that. Now we want to load compensation information. We will have to find out what is the process to do that. What is the web service we may have to create a separate template for that. And then we will use that to load the data. We are going to add some more information to this existing template and load it again. No, that is not allowed because these workers are already existing. This process was already done. For this pre-hire, you have already hired an employee. Can you use the same pre-hire to hire another employee? The answer is no. If you want to add some more information, there will be a different EIB, a different web service template that we have to use. But yes, definitely you can correct the data. Not an issue. It will be different web service operation. There are many sheets. I afford compensation process. All this can be updated once. Can we do the initiate studies only how we did now? At the same time, we can, if you want to propose the if you want to add compensation, let me show you this, the spreadsheet that I have in your shared drive. This is the sheet that you have in a shared drive. In this particular instance, we tried to load the data for an applicant. We also tried to have the compensation information. You see, we had put in the compensation package, the grade salary plan, allowance plan, also salary amount. When we hired this worker in this tenant, the compensation information was also added as part of the hire. If you want to edit government IDs, yes, you have to fill up this spreadsheet if you want to add passports and visas. Add this one, edit licenses, edit custom IDs, edit. Organizations assign pay groups. Transmit data to third-party payroll if you request one-time payment. Depending on what all you want to add, the hire business process is a big business process. If you want to add all of that information at the time of fire, fill up these additional spreadsheets. Then it will be loaded along with the hire process itself. And one more thing here, applicant ID, is there no example? I have around 50 hire. Is there any chances to create bulk applicant ID? Reference ID. No, the reference ID will be unique. Bring Empire My ID is something we create. That reference ID with Empire. Reference ID is unique. Can't we create in book? Because when we do more, have more. Yes, of course. Yes, you can create. That in bulk, of course you can do that. But for that you have to create a separate EB. Let me show you. If you create an EB, it will be NTB. Load applicant data. Basically, we are going to do pre-hires. If you are going to click Attach file at launch, the spreadsheet template is put applicant. If I remember correctly, put applicant. This is a web service that we have to do in this way. You are not going to populate your pre-hired. You don't have to populate the reference. You just put in the information we entered. First name, last name, and the contact information. Use this applicant ID. Let me try to create one very quickly. I will keep everything else the same. And finish. But remember that after you load bulk applicant IDs, you have to create a report to get the reference IDs for each and every applicant. Because for each worker, you will get that reference ID. You have to go here and go to template model. Generate spreadsheet template. Excuse me. Sorry, with data. No, I don't want with data. I'm just trying to show you how to create another EIB to load bulk data. This is output file. You have another EIB template. If I open it, this will be much more simplified because here you only have to put the address, information, some other contact information, and that's about it. What is it? Show it folder. You have to give a spreadsheet key. Spreadsheet key. Let's say it is 1, 3, 4. And then applicant ID is optional. You don't need to give the applicant ID. All you need to do is the title. If you want the salutation, first name, middle name, last name, and what else? You need to give the contact. You need to give one contact information, which is the email address, and on. You have to give that information and you will be able to load the data. Got it. Let's say I want to load some data first name. Anna. And last name is Ethan Kellogg. Emma Stern, what else? That's it, and we don't need anything else. It be straight. Away can go to the contact information. Let's go to the email address. The email address data row ID is 1. The deleted, no, we are not going to delete 2. Not replace, all email addresses will leave. Kellogg at test command here is. Stern at testcom, and then you have to use the usage. What is the usage of this particular email? That's what we. Why is this row it? If you want to add multiple rows per applicant, if you want to add, let's say 2 rows, one for home email, one for work email, you want to add 2 emails, then row 1 will be, row 2 will be home or whatever. use for. Here you have to put the usage as. Here is the email address data. 1 second, let me go for the usage. This is the communication usage ID. You have to use work. This is your work email. Here, sorry. This is the one, not the other one. Work. You remove this. Is it public? Let's say yes, it is public. Public, is it primary? Let's say yes, it's primary. It's primary and the usage, the communication usage type is work. Let me save this now. Let me try to load some information using this particular spreadsheet. Where is the integration? We go to NSATC. Load applicant data. One more thing. We have to remove this. Row ID is 345 we don't want. Save. And now let's try to validate the data one more time. We go to integration launch. Wrong. Here we have to attach the spreadsheet. Put applicant. Again, first of all, we are doing this for the first time. We have to validate the data first. Let's see if the data is correct. Or do we have to fill up any other information? It's running. Looks, there is an error. It says validation error. Look at the validation. What is the validation error? Failure report. Let's look at the failure report. Good that we have a failure report that we can know how it looks. Let's see what it does, what it says. Country reference is required on the internal. Element person name detail data. Last name is not set up for this country. First name is not set up for this country. We have to first of all, we have to put in the country. Reference it, we have to tell it for what country we are going to load the data. All. Let's find out. Here is the country. For the country, you see this is the ISO 31666 alpha code. Let's see if we can go to integration IDs. And then we have to search for country. And let's find out. We are looking at the United States. And what is the code type that you are looking for? 31661. Is there any other format that is available? Numeric 3 code, alpha 3 codes are also available. Let's see what we have. Numeric 3 code, alpha 3 code is also available. User is the alpha 3 code. Let's select the value as the alpha 3 code and the country is USA. We have put it. This first name, last name, what else it also talked a little bit about, I think. Here we have to give the row id because we want to add it. Here we also have to give the usage. Row ID, that's it. Let's try one more time. We go. Back to our integration. We launch this integration again. What is the let's? Launch this integration applicant. Load applicant data. For the first time you run this integration, There will be issues. It will give you validation errors. We have to fix it. We have to work through it, correct it, and then go to a point where it is and where you can hand it over to the users that they can use it to start loading data consistently and quickly. Again, I put the file and then I have to go validation mode. Yes, Anjita, I have a question. Don't we need to check? They add errors to attachment when you run it for the same time. Oh, I should have. But I mean thankfully. This time it went correctly to records loaded, but it was a validation. Only then how to do it, we do again. We go to the integration event relaunch. Integration event. This time all we need to do is uncheck the validate and yes, let's add errors to attachment. All it will create two pre-hires for me, that is expected output. If it works correctly, it will create two pre-hires for me. It is done. It says completed. It says 2 instances, but it did not create any. They did not use any business process in the backend. If you look at the spreadsheet, you see there is only one sheet. If you compare that with your hire employee, it had an overview spreadsheet where you had to give the processing instructions. Hire employee is going to trigger a business process, but not the put applicant. Put applicant will just create the applicant information in Workday. Now, if I look for a webmaster, I should have written YOLO. Let me search with the viewer. We have a pre-hire, correct. We have a pre-hire. Let's look at that evil address. Isn't that the ID that we have given? This is our pre-hire. And here is your pre-hire ID. What was the other one? Ethan Kellogg. After uploading and after successfully uploading this data, report, you have to run a report to get it. You have to run a report, create a report, use candidates as your data source, and then find it, you will get the data. The reference ID, you'll get the pre-hire ID. Create a report to get it. It will not show you as part of your integration response. No, you will not have it unless it's a studio integration and we captured it specifically. You will not have it. But you can create a report, create custom report. Very easily create a custom report. Let's say pre-applicant id. They're looking for the applicant reference id. It's an advanced report. I think it is. Applicant, the data source. Workers for pre-hire, all pre-hires. This is your data source. What do you need? You need to have the pre-hire information. You need to have the pre-hire. And you need to have the reference ID. You have applicant ID. Let's say reference ID. Just have the reference ID if you want. You can also have their email address. Just have their email primary if you want. You can also add some more fields anyway. Let me test it. because there may be many pre-hires in the system. Let me just test it. You see, you get the pre-hire, you get their email address, and you get their reference ID. You get the reference ID. This is the applicant ID, isn't it? You can run this report. Take a dump of it. And then you can get it. I'm running it for the entire population now. It will take a while because did I run it at all? Run. I think I ran it twice now. Anyway, yes, you can create. A quick report and find out that information. Here it is 129 items. What about the ones that we created overview? We have Martin Walters. Sorry, we have created Ethan and Emma. Most recently, but let's also check the two that we had created manually before. Here you go. Here are your reference IDs. 2004. Thank you. All this is how we can load data. Now that you have this format created, use it to load all your pre-harm. Maybe use it for your project, why not? Use it to load all the 16 or 17 different workers that you have to hire. Now that your tenant is refreshed, maybe this will save you some time. You have to manually go and edit and create that. But why not use this? This is already created. Our EIB is already created. You use that. Don't need to do it again. You go to integration events. Let me show you. Go to integration events and there you search for the app or the put applicant, the load applicant data. Take this and click on that event, the most recent one. And you have that spreadsheet that I used here in the attachment. Download it. Add your own pre-hires and bam, load it. Only thing you need to change would be what? The country. I think there's a mix of India and US. You have to give first name, last name, and what else? This one, the email address. Use a row ID as word for each record. It has to be public, it has to be primary, and it is work. Use the spreadsheet to load all your records, your pre-hires. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.